Loving you has been both my greatest joy and deepest sacrifice, but I wouldn't change a single thing. The price of loving you was high, but the return was immeasurable. Every tear, every heartache, every smile, worth it all to love you. I gave you my heart, and in return, I found a love I never knew existed. You cost me more than I ever imagined, but the love we shared was worth every penny. Loving you taught me that true love is worth more than any struggle or pain. You were worth every sleepless night, every broken piece of my heart. What I lost in the process of loving you, I found in the beauty of us. The cost of loving you was steep, but your love made it all worthwhile. There were times when loving you felt like a sacrifice, but I would do it again without hesitation. To love you, I had to lose parts of myself, but in the end, I discovered who I was meant to be. Loving you cost me my peace, but it gave me a lifetime of beautiful memories. You were a storm, but I was always willing to weather it if it meant I could love you. The price of loving you was sometimes too much to bear, but I never regretted a single moment. I lost my sense of certainty, but I gained a love that surpassed all understanding. Loving you was like dancing in the rain, messy, wild, but beautiful beyond words. It cost me my comfort zone, but loving you led me to the greatest adventure of my life. I gave everything for your love, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Loving you taught me that sometimes the greatest lessons come with the greatest pain. I lost myself in loving you, but I found a version of me that was stronger and braver. The price of loving you was my pride, but your love returned me my dignity. In loving you, I gave up my fears, and in return, you gave me love. The cost was heavy, but you were worth the weight. Loving you was a journey through uncharted territory, but I'd walk it again with no hesitation. It cost me my expectations, but loving you gave me hope. Loving you was a risk, and though it broke me, it also built me up in ways I never expected. I gave you my heart, even when it was fragile. You didn't break it, you healed it. The price of loving you was pain, but the reward was a lifetime of memories. Through the highs and lows, loving you was always my greatest adventure. Loving you was like planting seeds in a garden. Sometimes it hurt, but in the end, it bloomed beautifully. Loving you cost me my peace, but in return, I found a love that was worth every sacrifice. I surrendered my fears to love you, and it was the bravest thing I ever did. To love you, I had to let go of my old self, but I found something even more incredible in the process. I would have never known how deep love could run if it hadn't cost me my everything. Loving you was not easy, but it was the best decision I ever made. The price was my sense of security, but loving you gave me an understanding of true vulnerability. I lost myself to love you, but I found parts of me I never knew existed. Loving you cost me my patience, but it gave me infinite joy. I gave you everything, even when I had nothing left to give. The cost of loving you was greater than I could have imagined, but the love we shared was priceless. I gave up my pride to love you, and in return, I found true happiness. Loving you cost me my simplicity, but it gave me a love that transcended time. In loving you, I learned that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come with a cost. I lost my guard to love you, but I found an unbreakable bond. Loving you took my strength, but it gave me something more powerful in return. I gave up my doubts to love you, and you gave me a love that answered every question. Loving you cost me my solitude, but I discovered the warmth of your presence. It cost me my control, but in loving you, I found freedom in surrender. I gave you my heart without knowing what the future held, but the love we built was worth every uncertainty. Loving you wasn't easy, but the lessons it taught me were invaluable. What it cost me to love you was immeasurable, but the love we shared was beyond worth it. In the end, loving you cost me everything, but it gave me the love of a lifetime. Loving you took all my strength, but it left me with a heart full of love. I gave you my soul, and in return, I found a love that made everything else fade away. Loving you wasn't always kind to my heart, but it helped me grow into someone who could love more deeply. The cost of loving you was more than I could bear, but the depth of our connection made it all worthwhile. Loving you took my independence, but in return, you gave me a partnership I never thought possible. I sacrificed my certainty to love you, and in the process, I learned what true devotion is. Loving you cost me time, but the moments we shared made every second meaningful. Loving you meant sacrificing parts of me, but it also gave me a depth of love I never thought possible. I lost my way to love you, but you helped me find the path back to myself. Loving you cost me my pride, but in return, I gained a love that humbled me. I gave you my vulnerability, and you returned it with a love that made me whole. What I gave up to love you pales in comparison to the beauty and joy your love brought me. I lost sleep over loving you, but you gave me dreams worth waking up for. Loving you took my certainty, but it also taught me how to embrace uncertainty with trust. I gave you all my heart, and even though it broke sometimes, it was always worth it. The cost of loving you was higher than I ever imagined, but you were worth every sacrifice. Loving you took my fear, but in return, you gave me the courage to love fully. I lost myself in loving you, but found the most beautiful version of me along the way. Loving you cost me my sense of control, but it gave me freedom in the way I never knew existed. Every moment I spent loving you was worth the price I paid, even if it left me broken at times. The cost of loving you was heavy, but your love always lightened my heart. I gave you my trust, and in return, you taught me the power of vulnerability. Loving you made me lose my way, but it also led me to the most beautiful journey of self-discovery. It cost me my independence, but I found in loving you a sense of belonging I never knew. Loving you took my certainty, but it also gave me the gift of unwavering love. What it cost me to love you was great, but it was nothing compared to the love we built together. I sacrificed my solitude, but in your love, I found comfort I never thought possible. Loving you cost me my innocence, but in return, it gave me a love that felt pure and true. I gave you my heart without expecting anything in return, and your love exceeded every expectation. The price of loving you was steep, but your love was always worth the climb. Loving you cost me my confidence, but it taught me how to rebuild it, stronger than before. I gave you everything, and although it left me vulnerable, your love made me feel invincible. Loving you took my understanding of love to places I never thought possible. I lost my way in loving you, but you guided me back to where I needed to be. Loving you cost me my pride, but it also showed me how to love selflessly. I gave you my all, and in return, you gave me a love that filled every part of me. Loving you was like walking a tightrope, fragile, delicate, but the view from the top was worth every step. It cost me my ability to predict the future, but loving you taught me the beauty of living in the moment. I gave you my heart, and although it was bruised, your love always made it whole again. Loving you took my patience, but it taught me how to love unconditionally. I sacrificed my certainty, but in the process, I learned to trust in us more than I ever thought I could. Loving you cost me my resistance, but in return, I found the greatest connection I've ever known. What I gave up to love you was significant, but what I gained was far beyond my imagination. I lost my sense of security in loving you, but I found a deeper sense of peace in your love. Loving you cost me my way of thinking, but in return, it gave me a broader perspective of love. I gave you my heart, even when it wasn't whole, and you made it stronger every day. Loving you took my energy, but it gave me a love that fueled me even when I felt empty. I sacrificed my dreams for you, but in loving you, I discovered dreams I didn't even know I had. The cost of loving you was high, but the joy your love brought was beyond worth it. I gave you my time, and in return, you gave me a lifetime of memories. Loving you meant letting go of my old life, but I gained a love that was worth every change. I lost my ability to be independent, but in loving you, I found true strength in us together. The price of loving you was heavy, but the rewards were beyond what I ever expected. Loving you cost me my certainty, but it gave me a love that feels like home. I gave you my trust, and even though it was sometimes fragile, you always treated it like the most precious thing. Loving you took me to places I never wanted to go, but I'm grateful for the journey we've been on. I lost my guard to love you, but in return, you gave me a love that felt safe and secure. Loving you cost me my self-doubt, but it also gave me the confidence to love even deeper. I gave you my love without condition, and you returned it with a kind of depth I never knew existed. Loving you meant giving up everything I thought I knew, but in return, I found a love that redefined my world. I sacrificed my sense of self to love you, but in the end, I found a better version of me through you.